Alysa Liu stepped into the arena with less than 10 minutes to spare before her Olympic redemption arc officially commenced. The Milano Cortina Games were in their inaugural week, and the tension bearing down on the American squad was intense enough to crack ice. For Alysa, this wasn't just a competition. It was a resurrection, a chance for the former Prodigy to prove she hadn't just survived the burnout, but conquered it. Instead of visualizing her routine, she was stuck in the back of a van gridlocked by a vice presidential motorcade that had turned Milan's streets into a parking lot while her rivals were already carving up the practice ice. Any other elite competitor would have been hyperventilating, watching a lifetime of sacrifice evaporate in traffic. Yet when Alysa finally burst through the venue entrance with the clock ticking down, panic was absent. She was actually chuckling. She laced up with frantic precision, bypassed the broadcast warm-up entirely, and hit the rink to unleash a performance so radiant and bold it silenced every skeptic in the building. Even when her signature double axel touched down with a minor tremor, she didn't flinch or look for validation from the scoring panel. She just shot the camera a mischievous grin later, dismissing the error with a casual shrug and a single word oopsie. That fleeting smirk defined her entire Olympic comeback, representing something far deeper than a reaction to a technical glitch. It was a declaration that the woman standing at center ice in Milan bore little resemblance to the ghost who had vanished from the sport 4 years prior. She hadn't returned to hunt for hardware. She was there to take ownership of her own narrative. As it happens, once an athlete stops fixating on the point total and surrenders to the artistry, they become invincible. To truly understand the magnitude of Alysa Liu's resurrection, one must first measure the colossal shadow she cast as a youngster. Before she became a renegade, she was engineered to win. A product of Clovis, California, and the intense Bay Area circuit, Alysa was constructed as the ultimate skating prototype. Reports suggest her father, Arthur Liu, poured over $1 million into her development before she even entered the 9th grade. By 12, she was the youngest skater in history to execute a triple axel, and by 13, she had shattered Tara Lipinski's 22-year-old record to become the youngest national champion the United States had ever seen. She was anointed the savior of American figure skating, the girl with the pigtails and the unshakable grin. But behind the scenes, the pressure was crushing the life out of her. Her existence was a rigid schedule of 5 a.m. wake-up calls and lessons learned in the rear of a sedan, a naturally social spirit trapped in solitary confinement. While she was walled off from kids her own age, she was left wide open to the vicious commentary of the online world. When she arrived at the 2022 Beijing Games at 16, she was throwing quadruple jumps for a sport she had secretly come to loathe. As the globe watched her secure a 6th-place finish, Alysa was privately watching the clock, waiting for the moment she could unlace her boots for good. She wasn't competing for a spot on the podium. She was competing for her freedom, and weeks later, she shocked the industry by walking away completely. It wasn't a slow fade, it was a jailbreak, and for 2 years, her equipment sat gathering dust in the dark. Alysa eventually confessed she had lost track of where she put them, marking the beginning of her so-called lost years. Yet that period was the first time she actually discovered who she was systematically doing everything the skating establishment had forbidden. She took road trips with buddies who wouldn't know a salchow from a Lutz if it hit them. She started psychology classes at UCLA, finally tasting the social normalcy she'd been denied for 10 years, and even trekked all the way to Everest Base Camp in Nepal. She dabbled in volleyball and tennis, dyed her hair with loud raccoon stripes, and got piercings that would have given a traditional judge a heart attack. She was living her best life, and remained convinced she was done with competition later, admitting that low-key, she actually hated the sport. She wanted zero part of it. But in early 2024, the tide turned not because a coach called, but because of a random ski trip. The sensation of speed and the wind in her face woke something up. She realized she missed the adrenaline rush. She hit a public session just to see if the magic was still there, and in her battered old boots, she threw a double axel and nailed it. That single jump was the catalyst, but this time she set the rules. If she returned, it wouldn't be to satisfy her father's agenda. She would skate on her own clock to her own soundtrack with a philosophy that prioritized happiness over gold medals. The 2025 season was intended as a diagnostic test to check her level against the elite, but it evolved into a masterclass in technical sharpness and emotional transparency. When she touched down in Boston for the 2025 World Championships, the spotlight was firmly fixed on the juggernaut team from Japan. Hardly anyone expected Alysa, with less than a year of serious training under her belt, to make a dent in the leaderboard. Then she dropped a short program that smashed her personal best and shocked the arena, moving with a depth and maturity her teenage self never possessed. She wasn't out there to curry favor with the panel. She was there to share a piece of her soul. Her free skate was nothing short of transcendent, making her the first American woman in 19 years to capture a world title and ending a dry spell that had persisted since 2006. The true triumph, however, wasn't the gold medal. It was the look on her face in the kiss and cry area. Her tears weren't about winning. They flowed from the pride of performance. She had finally wrestled the sport back for herself. She arrived in Milan as the heavy favorite, yet for the first time in her career, the burden of expectation was non-existent. In Boston, she told the press that hardware doesn't define her worth. She validates herself through the creation of art. This was the arrival of Alysa 2.0, a skater who sees the Olympics as her stage and the scoreboard as irrelevant static. The Milan Games have reached a fever pitch and the Blade Angels have officially arrived. What started as a digital thread between Alysa Amber Glenn and Isabel Levito has evolved into a badge of sisterhood within a sport notorious for its isolation. As a unit, they have transformed into the most embraced trio in American figure skating history. These are rebels shredding the Ice Princess playbook. Throughout the team event, Alysa served as the absolute heartbeat of the squad. Despite a logistical nightmare involving a motorcade and zero warm-up time, her second-place short program locked in 9 vital points for Team USA. She skated with an electric sense of liberty. When the Americans secured their repeat gold, Alysa was the one launching herself highest on the podium. Then came the snap heard round the world. A clip went viral showing her celebrating with such force that her gold medal broke off the ribbon and clattered to the arena floor. The prize was scratched and dented. She just laughed it off later. Officials offered to swap the battered hardware for a mint-condition replacement. Alysa declined. She preferred it off the leash. To her, it was personal. That dented metal was a testament to her grit, imperfect, weathered, but 100% authentic. The fans adored her for it. Tonight, February 17, 2026, Alysa Liu takes the ice for the women's individual short program. The pressure cooker is at max capacity. In the wings, she clutches a Paka plushie from Chainsaw Man. It all comes down to this. She is the reigning world champion, the Grand Prix final victor, and the favorite to break a 24-year American dry spell for individual gold. But she isn't focused on the flag raising. She is chasing a vibe. Her programs are an exercise in autonomy anchored by a Lady Gaga medley. She selected the avant-garde wardrobe. She picked coaches who view her as a collaborator, not a subordinate. She has stated that competitions are merely performances with judges. Her mission is to ignite the arena and make the crowd feel something visceral. That philosophy is her secret weapon. While rivals from Japan and South Korea carry the crushing weight of national expectation, Alysa skates for the rush. Walking away from the sport at 16 turned out to be a masterstroke. It gave her room to evolve, to find her voice, and to realize skating is what she does, not who she is. Every routine is a statement. Whether she takes gold or finishes dead last, she has already secured the most significant win of the 2026 Games. She earned the right to be herself. For Alysa Liu, success in 2026 isn't calculated in points, it is measured in agency. She has shown young athletes everywhere that a path mapped out at age 5 doesn't have to be a life sentence. You can walk away. You can go to college. You can trek to Mount Everest, and if you return, you can do it with raccoon-striped hair and a grin that says it isn't that deep. She has traded the Ice Princess tiara for the crown of a rebel queen. She swapped fear for pure joy. In doing so, she has made figure skating resonate with a new generation more than any triple axel ever could. Alysa Liu has proven that the most graceful move on ice isn't a quad, it is choosing yourself. The short program is underway. The signature stripes are locked in, and the Chaos Queen is ready for the spotlight. Milan is watching,